Hi, and welcome to Veterans Onward to Prosperity. I'm your host, Master Sergeant Retired Anna Maria Bliven. And this month is Mission Education Possible. And last week, we went over all kinds of different education possibilities for you that you could take advantage of, that will help with college, that will help with technical training, vocational training. But today we're going to talk about why would you even care about all of that stuff? Are you making plans for your future? Are you in a job that you like? Are you in a job that you don't like? Are you in a job that you would rather maybe make into a career and you see yourself possibly moving up into the career field, not necessarily the company, but definitely the career field? Well, today we're going to be talking about how it is that you may be planning ahead, thinking ahead, and if you're not planning ahead and thinking ahead, hopefully by the end of this show, you will be. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Mike Merwin here, U.S. Navy retired, submarine officer turned entrepreneur. I turned my hobby of 25 plus years making beef jerky into a thriving small business. Made in small batches with only high quality ingredients, it's not good, it's crazy good. A portion of all proceeds helps save military lives. Order now on www.crazymikesjerky.com using code CB10 for 10% off.
Hi, this is Veterans Onward to Prosperity, and I'm your host, Master Sergeant Retired Anna Maria Bliven. Very privileged to have with us in the virtual studio today, Robert Blakely, better known as the Blakester. Welcome to the show, Robert.
Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it, Anna.
You're doing some really cool stuff in the world today, but can we just back up a little bit and talk about your experience in the Army? What'd you do?
Well, as far as the military is concerned, I spent 5 years in there. I was air defense artillery. I actually originally got into the military in El Paso, Texas. They shipped me off to Fort Sill, Oklahoma for basic training. Because I was in air defense, they shipped me right back home to El Paso for AIT. The funny, cool story about that was, everything that they told us in AIT that we couldn't do, like drive or smoke or go off post, I got to do all that. So it was kind of neat. After AIT, they shipped me off to Germany. I was stationed in Kitzingen there for 3 years. I was married. That's why I stayed there for 3 years. Then got out and ETS'd in Fort Carson, Colorado back in '95.
Fort Carson, Colorado. Wow. And Fort Bliss, and you got to be in Germany for a little bit. During all of that, is there anything that was part of that experience that led you to do what you're doing today?
Honestly, yes. The biggest part about that is the leadership development that we in the military learned. That was key for me at one point in time. Not that my story was the greatest story, but I know that we all have our stories. For me, I found a big problem with my leadership that I had while I was in the military. That's why I only lasted 5 years, unfortunately, because for myself, I loved it. To me, it was just like being a big Boy Scout, even though I'd never been a Boy Scout. You got to go camping, drive around big tanks and fire big guns, So I enjoyed it, but what I didn't like was the psychology aspect of it and the people that were above you that were dumb as a box of rocks, as we like to say. And definitely it kind of scared me being at that time a Desert Storm. I hate to say this, and I say this lightly, but I was in fear that the comrade next to me would be the person that would get me killed. And for that reason, I was like, nah, I just can't handle any more of that stupidity in my experience. But at one point in time, I had been, busted down from E4 to E1, back up to E4, busted down again. I was the L rank in his at one point in time. So, I was the person that whenever the NCOs were out, and I would have to go march the troops, lead the troops, that kind of thing. So that was very huge for me. Leadership development, obviously, you can't get much better than that.
No.
But yeah, that was a huge part.
So today, what is it you're doing exactly?
Well, I like to boast that I'm a sales psychology coach. So what I primarily do is I have students that I teach them the ins and outs of online marketing. In fact, today we started a new course that I called Starting from Scratch. This course is designed to take anybody that has had 0 to, years of experience through the A's to the Z's on what to expect, what to look for, the mindset that needs to happen, the psychology behind things, the tools that are needed, things of that nature. I do also have affiliate marketing programs that I'm a part of. I'm very big into asset accumulation. And what I mean by that is collecting gold and silver. I pay attention and have paid attention for many years, the economy. I'm not very political, and I never have been, even being in the military. I never had that need, want, or desire, right? In fact, as far as my political affiliation represent, I only recently started getting into politics since Trump had gone into office. Okay? And we don't have to talk about that. But I think to me, the path that I had was in such a way that, beyond the military, when I got out, I did 18 years of door-to-door experience. So I literally went and pounded on doors. And I became extremely successful with that. And I learned a lot of the insides and outs and nuances of what we call a sale, right? I learned the psychology about it, how to stand in a door, how to hold your binder, what to say, when to say it, where to point, all these little nuances that throughout time I developed bigger and better skill set. So to me, being on this path, I would be a fool and I would be stupid if I didn't leave some kind of legacy. And the only kind of legacy that I know how to leave is the knowledge that I've gained and gleaned over the past 30 plus years. So I love to help people. I genuinely am out there to help people. I want to see if you've got a business, you don't know what the heck you're doing. Okay, well, let me plug you into the right place, or you need help with this. Okay, well, I've experienced that because I've been online for 15 plus years. As I was mentioning in my training today, I remember back when all we had was HTML. Then came audio, then came video, right? So I had to learn all of these little nuances and things that we as entrepreneurs or even online business owners or offline business owners have to learn. And I mentioned there's only 3 ways for us to do that. We have to, number 1, learn it ourselves. Number 2, outsource it. Or 3, we do a combination of both, right? So I want to be that voice for people. I know that from my experience and the people that I talk to, everybody tells me that I give fantastic training. It's always to the point. It's very relative. People understand it. It's not fancy lingo. So, people are like, huh, what did you say? So I love that. And ultimately, to me, my payment, I'm not out there like looking for millions of dollars, although I get paid very well for what it is that I do. I get a personal satisfaction when I help, let's say, somebody like you and or any of my other students, and they come back to me and say, wow, Robert, what you taught me really changed my life. I went out there, I did it, and now all of a sudden I'm getting these sales in my business. I love that. That is what I call my emotional payment that I get for helping people, right? So that's why I do what I do. I love genuinely helping people. I don't want to see people
I
out
can
there
relate
failing.
to that. I definitely can relate to that. Let's continue this conversation in just a minute after these messages. Ron salutes as a LinkedIn business strategist and relationship advisor. He's the co-author of 21 Days to Success with LinkedIn. He's a guest speaker for the U.S. Army on veteran transition, contact Ron at his website.
Hi, my name is Julia Ramaldi. Please come join us on the Disability Channel. Please stay tuned, we have amazing guests.
Hey, welcome back. Veterans Onward to Prosperity. I'm your host, Master Sergeant Retired Anna Maria Blevin, and we have been conversing with the Blakester. Now, majorly, let's just say he's taking the leadership part of being prior military, if you will, and you know what? There's sometimes when people go through life and they say, "Oh, well, I just experienced something I know not to do." Right? So in the military, in your experience with the leaders of your unit, battalion, brigade, whatever, you learned what you don't want to do, but you learned also the opposite of that, of what you do want to do. And you took that type of leadership and brought that into the arena of sales. Now, if you are listening to this broadcast and you are not a salesperson per se for a business or a product, I have news for you. You're still sales. You're still selling yourself to an employer, to a school. Try and get admitted to a college of your choosing now. You got to sell yourself to school. You got to sell yourself to an employer. Still, those principles that Robert was just talking about, they basically apply to life, don't they?
Well, if I can clarify that, one thing that I said, last hour to my group of students was we all sell, and we have all been selling since we were born. The only difference is, right, when we came out of the womb, we were crying, right? That's what our method of communication was. We cried. We knew that when we cried, Mama came, she gave us food, or she, cleaned our butts off, or whatever it was. Now transform as we move forward, right? Then we learn to communicate. The problem that I see ultimately is that there's almost a lost art of communication, especially now in today's age with technology. Everybody's on their smartphone. Nobody knows how to say hi to people. They're just texting. They're afraid to get on video, all of those things really matter. So if you can understand that you've been selling since life and all you have to do is just work on your communication skills, if you work on those communication skills, become a better and effective communicator, and you'll be better at sales. A lot of people
I am
think
so glad it is what you're doing.
Really not.
Yes, yeah. I'm so glad you are doing what you're doing, Robert, and you feel called to do it. And you were saying that it really gives you great satisfaction to see that what it is you're teaching, they're getting it.
Yeah.
I love to teach people how to the tripsticks and techniques on how to get a job. In fact, I'm so good at what I do in sharing that with people that 93% that work with me get interviewed, 87% get hired. So we're both kind of leaders. You're leading people in the communication of selling themselves, and I'm leading them in what they need to do to seek, find, and apply for employment, basically. And so with the combination of what you're teaching and what I'm teaching, they're all set up. They're set up well. But what do you tell a veteran or even a warrior that's not thinking about what they're going to do for the rest of their future? They're just kind of living in the moment.
Well, that's a great question, because I can honestly say that I live in the moment quite a bit. I do live in the moment quite a bit. My perspective and my mindset might be a lot different than this person that we're particularly talking about, only because of the path that I've been on. So I have been afforded the flexibility to live in the now moment. However, it's not that I don't think about the future, right? It's very important for me to think about that. What's going to happen in 5 years, 10 years? Again, talking to my students today. So if you want to be an online marketer per se, do you see yourself doing that in 5 years? Not that it takes you 5 years, but you have to be committed to the process. And that process is learning, right? So whether it's, working online or offline in a particular job, you have to put that time in. You know, I know that a lot of people, and again, from my personal experience, that are out there right now that are going to be watching this, like you said, they hate their job. They hate their job. And in my opinion, that's no way to live. And I wouldn't go out there and I wouldn't go get a job that I hated just to make my ends meet, right? Especially when I know I have a certain skill set, be it leadership development or whatever it may be that we all have. I could take that skill set and utilize it somewhere to where I'm at least doing something that I'm happy with. And then if you're happy with what you're doing, you're never working a day in your life. Right?
That's right. That's exactly right. So you can almost say to somebody, do you love Mondays?
I
Because if
do.
you love Monday, I do too. That's a sure
TGIM.
sign. Sure sign that you're doing what you love. If you love Mondays, you are doing what you love. But if you're not one of those and you don't love Mondays, well, then maybe we ought to have a conversation, shouldn't we, Robert?
Yeah, certainly so. Certainly so.
Yes. So let's have that conversation in just a few minutes after these messages.
Let me introduce you to Frank Sinclair. He has a business called Dream Again Business Consulting. Frank believes that you were put on this earth for a specific reason. It's his job to find out why. If we follow the natural course of your life and your story, it always leads to your purpose.
I'm Zach Damon, host of the Disability Channel Detroit. Please join us at the Disability Channel and watch the Disability Channel Detroit for all your Michigan disability information.
Hey, welcome back, Veterans Onward to Prosperity, and we're talking with Robert Blakely, otherwise known as the Blakester, because he makes things happen, or he helps make things happen for people in their lives. And using the sales psychology, using key communication, that's the way to do it. And we were just talking about not really having a plan for the future. You're living in the moment. And for some, that's okay. And for a few moments, that's also okay. But if you're stuck in a tunnel of darkness, that's not okay. So for those folks, we really inspire and implore you to think in terms of, how am I going to get out of this tunnel? What do I need to do to get out of this tunnel? Robert will show you what to say to get out of this tunnel. And then I can take it from there and showing you how you can find your employment that maybe will help you maybe love Mondays.
I want to kind of just point out, as far as the nickname, the Blakester, I got that in the military, from my senior leadership. And because of the fact that you mentioned somebody being in a dark place, I do want to mention I've been in several dark places. I get it. I've been there. I, at one point in time, 20 years ago, lost somebody very near and dear to me to a trailer fire. I lost her and her two girls, fell into a huge, huge depression. I honestly didn't know what I was going to do, but I can say this: if you're watching and you are in that spot, there is a better way. Right? There is a better way. There's people out there that you can talk to. Another thing that I just have to add, because this is how my universe works, is I find, a lot of those people that put up the suicide prevention numbers, I don't really look at that as a solution. You can post your numbers up all day long, but unless you're physically there for somebody, that's the only way you're going to physically make a difference. So, yeah, let people know that you're there for them if they're in dark times, but also know that there are better times and there's brighter times, guys. There are brighter times.
Yes. Thank you for that. I do really appreciate that. I'll just throw that in there for good measure too, but I've been in my dark tunnel too. I've been homeless twice.
We all have.
We all have had that, yes. And the way that we get out is we want out. And then when we want out, we seek the help we need. And so if you need communication help, Robert's your man. You want employment? I'm your girl. So, so between the two of us, we can help you and we will help you. So Robert, how do they get in touch with you?
Well, if they want, they can go, well, I don't want to give my cell phone number out.
No,
Don't know if I want to get a bunch of spam, but
no.
they can find me on Facebook. Facebook user the Blakester69. That was the year that I was born.
Okay.
They can find me there if they like. I'm primarily on there. They can go to my website, robertblakely.com. If they do, I have a free training there. It talks about forbidden words that you shouldn't be saying within your presentation. They can sign up there and I'll at least get their email. But that's the easiest way, is most likely just Facebook.
That's great. Thank you for that. Yes. In fact, I'll probably look at some of that training myself. You know what? It's been a joy having you on and allowing us for just a glimpse of what it is that you do and how it is that you've come to do it. And hopefully we have maybe inspired someone that is serving right now or those that have served. So if you're serving right now, you are what we would call a warrior. And there is coming a day when you put your boots away and you hang up your uniform, and then you really got to be aware of what comes next. Now, if you've already served and you're wondering what comes next, or like Robert said, you may be one of those that don't love Mondays, take another look at something. Look and see, ask questions, but for goodness sake, don't stay stuck. This is, after all, the TV show Veterans Onward to Prosperity. And this is where you get your resources, information, and tips, tricks, and techniques from people like Robert. Thank you for being on the show, Robert.
I appreciate
and I'll be
you
back
having me.
to close this episode in these few minutes.
Hey everybody, join us for the Smash Party, nationwide Smash Party, to smash out all of our stress, the stress that has been accumulating for over the COVID-19 pandemic. Get it all out. Smash out that frustration, that disappointment, that anger. Get it all out. 15 minutes of smashing, and then we be calm. Breathe. Just breathe and relax.
Hi, I said these few minutes, but actually meant few minutes. Few minutes. Let's talk about few minutes. Okay, so our life in comparison with the big picture are a lot of few minutes. So in the few minutes that you're with me and Robert, what kind of thoughts went through your head? Are you one of those that love Mondays? Great. Are you one of those that hate Mondays? If you're one of those, in the few minutes that we're talking, maybe you've gotten some ideas. Hopefully you've gotten some ideas. This whole show is to give you information, sources, and resources that follow you up with those ideas. hopefully maybe you've been thinking in terms of the next step. So this is Mission Education Possible. And he said there is a lot of opportunity to learn, be educated, and grow. Grow personally and professionally as much as you possibly can. So this is what this TV show is all about for veterans onward to prosperity. Please stay tuned for the next episode in Mission Education Possible. I guarantee you're not going to want to miss it. Until we see each other next week, be the best you can be.